Whoa! What? What the hell was that, dude?
That was surprise. Here it comes.
Right.
Jeez. Well, man, it's been like what? 3 weeks, 4 weeks, a year? I don't know. It feels like it's been forever since we did a show.
Yeah. Been a minute.
It has.
I'd say how you been, but it ain't like I didn't see you yesterday. So.
Oh, dude. Oh my God. Well, you know what? So I've got a presentation coming up in a couple of weeks. And one of the things I'm presenting on is storm photography. And I will mention that. I will totally mention how many times you go out and get nothing.
Or you think you're not going to get nothing, you leave, and then 5 minutes later I text you and tell you it's lightning over here. Hey, I went home too, so I didn't get anything.
How's it going, Bob? Long time no see. Hello. And Mr. Thomas. Yeah, so about last night. So I'd been watching weather all day, develop in Iowa, and I knew that Iowa was going to get insane weather, and I had considered taking the day off of work and driving over to Iowa, but I just didn't have it in me to do it. Solo anyways, drive 9 hours or whatever it was going to be to get over to Iowa and not have any familiarity at all with the area, have done no research on it. So I said, screw it. It'll probably make its way this way, hopefully march across the lake, like we like it to do, so we can shoot from the piers, what have you.
Right.
So I watched it. Hey, Shelly went out shooting tonight. I got to see that.
Shelly.
And so I watched, and sure enough, it started to move across the lake, and it was still holding together a little bit. There was lightning. So I thought, oh man, I'm going to do it. Spur of the moment. I went and seen Black Widow with my kids. I told my oldest son, I said, you drive separate so that when the movie's done, if I need to bolt based on what the radar is doing, then you can just drive Carter back home, and I'm just going to leave right from there. And that's what I did. Right. I left right from there.
Oh, did you right from the theater?
Nice. I left right from the theater, drove to Grand Haven, watching the radar the whole time. About the time I was getting, I don't know, just through Grand Rapids, about, which makes it what, 45, 50 minutes from Grand Haven, 45 minutes.
Yeah, roughly.
Jerry was shooting a shelf cloud, so I missed that coming across the lakeshore. So I get to Grand Haven. It's not really that great, and I knew that I had time before any weather would make it across the lake. So I drove up to Muskegon and got a hold of Jerry and said, hey, looks like there's weather coming across the lake. Do you want to meet? So he brought, was it your nephew?
Yeah, my nephew. Yeah,
nephew. He brought in a nephew down to the beach because he was interested in watching lightning come across the water. And we hung out there until the cops showed up and told you that the park was closed.
Yep.
And I gave up. And it was what, 11 about the time we left?
About 10 after. About 10 after, yeah. Because I looked at the clock when he kicked us out of there.
Yeah. And I gave up. I said, I'm done. Doesn't look like anything's going to make it. Right. I get an hour from there to Grand Rapids, and Jerry messages, said it's banging up here now, and sent a screenshot of the radar covered in lightning right where we were at. I'm like, oh my God.
Me and Kevin sitting on the couch, and in the first little bit of thunder that came through, the house shook a little bit, and we both looked at each other like, was that lightning and thunder going on out there? What the hell? Sure shit. Yeah.
Figures. There was no way I was turning around and coming back. It's funny because I got halfway there. I got about to Grand Rapids, and another friend of ours, Jason Helmer, called me and told me, he said, hey, there's a big storm developing back by your house. Turn around. I'm not turning around and going back.
Right.
I had 2 opportunities. If I would have turned around to go back, I probably could have gotten something, but I just, it was not in the cards for me.
Sometimes you got to just wait it out, man. It's tough. I know. But
man,
that shot I got with the sunset and the lightning the first time I did it.
Yeah.
I was down at the lake and it was pouring, and everybody left. And I turned around and started driving home. And when I went to turn down my street off of Laketon, I looked in my rearview mirror and the sun was out behind me. Then I was like, damn, do I turn around and go back or I'm already home? And then I was like, no, I'm going back. Turn around and went back for 40 minutes. It lightning with no rain.
Yeah.
And the sun was out.
Yeah. You're the guy that lives like 15 minutes from the water.
Right.
I'm the guy that lives my town of Eaton Rapids. I don't know if I've mentioned it on the show before or not, but my little town, Eaton Rapids, is the furthest away from any of the Great Lakes of any town in the state.
Really?
There was a news article about it a couple of years ago. If you get on Google Maps and just start drawing straight lines to all the Great Lakes, my little town is the furthest away from any of them. And then, of course, I want to be shooting on the lakeshore. I've got the furthest drive of anybody I know to a big body of water. So
I told you to move over here, man. Work from home.
Just wasn't in my cards. And again, I'll talk about that in my presentation. That sometimes you put in the miles for nothing, I guess, just to put the miles on your car. Hey, look, there's an ad on the TV behind me.
Hey, those were Hey Dude shoes. I need to get a pair of those.
Were they?
Yeah.
So, anyways, I figured we'll probably just play a little catch up on. He lives a half a mile from Lake Erie. Don't get that kind of weather there. Generally, no. I know you don't. It's not too often. But when you do, it's usually pretty wild if you get weather that's coming from the southeast up. That's bizarre, and it's usually not good.
I watched the radar day before yesterday, and a little bit of rain came through, and I looked across the lake, and there was nothing. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
It was coming from the south.
Yeah.
And I just automatically looked to the west, and
for sure.
And I was like, whoa, this is weird coming from the south. This don't happen often.
Yeah. We'll get it from the south more than we'll get it from the east. The east is the weirdest of all.
If it's coming from the east, we better run, goddammit.
Right, yeah. But so, again, like I said, we'll just catch up on some of the stuff that we've been shooting. I've got a couple of, I guess, gear purchase kind of things to talk about. They're nothing majorly expensive, but they are new to me and maybe of some interest to others out there watching. And then, of course, I've got some photos.
I'm saving right now. I'm not buying nothing. I'm saving.
Yeah. So I've got a trip coming up. I'm sure everybody's heard me talk about it too much, but in a couple of weeks, I'll be taking off to Oregon for a week. And I love using filters, but if you've seen the filters that I use, I was kind of working with Nisi for about a year and a half, 2 years, and then H&Y for a little bit. And those filters are big. The big rectangle and square filters, they're kind of a pain.
Did you buy a screw on?
Yeah.
Welcome to the club, sir.
Actually, a couple. And so one of the people that I like to watch on YouTube whose work I really like is Nick Page. And I come across a couple of videos of his, and he's talking about filters, and he brings up a good point. The filters are destructive to your photos. I mean, it's not like it's something that can be undone. Once you've put that in front of the lens, that's what you've got.
Yep.
And it's not a big deal for an ND filter. It's a big deal for the graduateds, though. I mean, I do have plenty of photos where I was using my favorite graduated is the reverse graduated. It's killer for sunsets, provided you have a wide open scene with not really anything on the horizon per se. So and here's why. So it's dark in the center where the sun is going to be setting, and that's what you want. You want to darken that up so that you can evenly expose. But the problem is if you have like trees or a lighthouse or a building, they have a dark band across them.
Mm-hmm.
You're kind of screwed when it comes to that regard. So, and I just kind of dealt with it. I'd brush in exposure and things like that, whereas, Nick Page was making the point of, maybe that's a good time to bracket and then start, blending your photos in post, like layer masking them, exposure blending.
Yep.
And going to Oregon, I know that I'm going to want filters. And I think where there's anything where I'd want something more than just long exposure, something where I would normally be using a graduated. I think that's where I'll bracket photos. But for the long exposures, well, I got this little Nisi case here. And it's funny, this company K&F had reached out to me a while ago, and I never used this, but this is I feel hokey even using it, but it's a variable. It's a variable ND. Yeah. And it does suffer from the problem that all variables have, is that once you get all the way to like its maximum, which this is like a 10 stop. Once you get about to that 10 stop, you start to see this cross pattern develop.
Yep.
Which it just means, I'm not going to be able to go all the way to 10 stops with this. I'm drinking this beer and holy cow, it's super, super carbonated. Sorry. So I won't be able to go all the way to 10 stops because I'll end up with that cross pattern on it. But I figure with the Sony, I've got that extended ISO. I think it goes down to like 54.
So I got a question. Why did you get a variable? Did you buy
So I got the variable because I'm not always going to want 10 stops. I'm not going to necessarily want like a 30-second long exposure. There might be times where you just want like 2 or 3 seconds, just enough to give a little softness to the water or something like that.
Right.
And then go ahead.
I was gonna say, you can shoot to. I shoot 1 second all the time with my 10 stop.
And what, like boost your ISO way the hell up?
Huh?
And how do you do that? Like boost your ISO way up?
No.
Okay, so how do you shoot 1 second with a 10 stop in the evening?
I don't use them in the evening. I only use NDs during the day.
Yeah. Okay, so but if you wanted to shoot outside of like middle of the day with the 10 stop, then and you didn't want that, you'd start stopping down.
Yeah, during the day. Yeah, you don't need to use a ND filter if it's at sunset, you don't need one.
Depends on what you're trying to do with your image. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
It's kind of the reason for a variable is the same reason that
I just know that most people only use variables for film.
For video?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And it's the same reason that they use it for video is the same reason that I'm getting it. So that you don't have to carry 5 or 6 different filters to get the shutter speed you want.
Right. I got a variable, and like you said, you get that crosshatch in there, and I threw that shit away.
Yep. So, if you want depending on your shutter speed, there's not always times where you're going to want to shoot wide open or shoot stopped all the way down. And you have the flexibility to shoot either way at varying shutter speeds just by adjusting adjusting your ND filter so that you don't have as many stops of light lost. I'll show you sometime with like the use cases for that. I haven't done it yet because I usually I'll slap in either like a 3-stop or a 6-stop of the other ones that I have. And this way I'll be able to just adjust it according to what I want. And then, so that's the one that I got here. So it's anywhere from a 3-stop to a 10-stop from K&F, but I ordered it, or this isn't when I ordered, this is when I got from them. But I realized that at some point I'm going to want to get a polarizer too. So that's one of the things I'll be giving up if I don't bring my Nisi kit, is that has a circular polarizer built into it, which is super cool for taking the glare off of water and things like that, or making colors pop in fall colors or rainbows. So I figured I'm going to have to buy a circular polarizer. So I started looking on the Nisi website just to see what they have. Steve wants to know if I'm having a fire sale on my Nisi products. Yeah, maybe I will. I guess I can give you a list of what I've got, and then maybe you can start talking about it. So I got on the Nisi
backpack.
What's that?
I said, buy an extra backpack, Steve.
Yeah, right. It's a big kit. So I started looking on the Nisi website for a circular polarizer. I'm one of those people that feels like you get what you pay for when it comes to filters. Like, you don't want to get cheap because then you get color cast and stuff like that. And the coatings on the good filters are nice. Like the Nisi filters, if you get even just a little tiny bit of water on them, if it doesn't just run right off, all you have to do is just blow on it and it just skates right off of it. They've got those nano coatings. So I was looking on their website for a circular polarizer and found that they also make a variable ND filter that has a circular polarizer integrated with it. And the one on Nisi's website says that it doesn't do the cross. So having friends who are Nisi ambassadors, I got a hold of Mark and got a deal on it. So that's should be shipping. It should probably be here like any day now. So that's a couple of things that I bought for this trip to Oregon. I just wanted to be able to pack lighter. I might not even bring this case for those filters. I might just get a little hard case, like a little round one, and screw them together and then just put them in that. And then I can tuck it down inside my bag instead of bringing this.
Yeah, where's my bag? So, you know what I do is I've bought a 77 millimeter ice 10 stop.
Mm-hmm.
And I keep it in the little plastic case that it came in.
Yeah.
And then I have another plastic case just like that, and I keep step-up rings in it.
Yeah. Yep.
So for whatever lenses I'm taking with me, I make sure I got a step-up ring with me so I can use that filter on all of my lenses.
Yep. I'll tell you what. So that's one of the things that I really like about having gone the Tamron route is that all of my lenses are all the same filter thread.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, they're all 62.
I thought you were going to say they're screwable.
Oh, well, they are. I mean, they all have.
So they're using that bracket?
Yeah, instead of using like a crazy filter holder like I would with the square filters. The only thing is I won't have a filter holder for my my Samyang 14 millimeter, which is fine. I mean, there is an option for it. Photodiox makes one. It's called the Wonder Pano. I think they're like 165 millimeter. They're like massive.
That big red dish.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
that's actually pretty cool setup.
I kind of thought about that too, but I mean, good Lord, it's like bringing a record with you everywhere you go.
Why? Yeah.
It's giant. But again, that's like $200. And I mean, you get up, and I don't know how often
you got 17 millimeters already. You know what I mean? You're talking 3 millimeters.
So that's just a couple of things that I picked up for this trip. I do have a pair of boots. I should have grabbed the boots because Jerry was asking about those the other night. I grabbed a pair of boots as well because I figure in the Pacific Northwest on the beaches, getting like Cannon Beach and Bandon Beach and things like that. I see a lot of photos of people like the surf tends to wash really far up onto the beach, depending on how the tides are. And I know we'll be spending time getting our feet wet. So I ordered some boots. They're neoprene, basically from just above the ankle up. They're knee-high boots. So they're almost like, that swimsuit type material. And so they'll be warm. They fit snug. The bottom of the boots, they're almost like a muck boot or a farm boot. They've got a really deep, aggressive tread on them. That's a no-slip tread. So I picked up those and some waterproof socks. And it's funny when I mentioned that, Jerry's like, I've never even heard of waterproof socks. And I told him I hadn't either before. Again, watching some of Nick Page's videos. He's an Oregon native and spends a lot of time running workshops along the coast. And I noticed in one of his videos, he was wearing what I thought were I don't even know. They just look like knee-high tights or something. I'm trying to figure out what the hell's going on. And then finally in the video, he mentions that they were these neoprene socks they're waterproof and insulated. John Thomas, I got boots for my camera. No, I got boots for me so that I don't have to worry about getting wet. So again, just it's funny the amount of preparation that goes into something like a trip like this, buying things that I know I'll find uses for them here. I see, there's my dog's going crazy. I see people get some really great shots here in Michigan in the Great Lakes. Instead of shooting out into the water, they're in the water shooting back to the shore. What comes to mind is Walter Elliott. He's got a couple of cool shots, or maybe it's David Barons.
It's Dave, yeah.
Dave. He's got shots of these lighthouses taken from in the water looking back. And they're just amazing shots. It's a perspective that most people don't ever see. And it's not something I would do probably without a good pair of boots. So wanted to mention those things. Excuse me. I quit smoking like 2 weeks ago, and now my body's just like my lungs
getting rid of the toxins.
It is. I'm like going through this detox or something.
Yeah.
The other thing that I wanted to talk about, and I'm sure I know Bob Panic in the chat room knows about these, but if you have a Harbor Freight store in your area, they sell, basically it's a knockoff of the Pelican cases.
Yep.
And I've kind of been going crazy buying those. I've got a few of them now. So I'm not sure what the price on the Pelican cases are, but they're expensive. And Pelican cases, for those who don't know, are those hard cases with the pick and pull foam in them. So I've got one here that has the A7 III or the R3 in it, and 2 Tamron lenses and a couple of batteries. It's a hard case. It's got gaskets on it. So it is. I literally just pinched my nipple in this thing and it hurt. And it's got rubber gaskets on it, and it does have a pressure relief valve so that I guess if you're flying and it's in a pressurized cabin, it's not going to, blow out the case or whatever. But this will float and stay completely sealed as long as you have this valve closed on it or whatever. I think I paid like $33 for this on sale. And I stood on it. It'll hold my fat butt up. So it is rugged and super durable. I've got another one that's 1.5 times the size of this that I think I paid $70 for. I think the equivalents from Pelican are they're at least twice the cost. I think they're closer to 3 times the cost.
Yeah, I think they're about $300 for the big one, maybe more.
Yeah. Amazing deal or value for the money. A lot of the things at Harbor Freight are kind of throwaway items, it's like a one-time use tool or something like that. But some of the stuff that they have is really good in those cases. The brand is called Apache, and I would highly suggest people jump on their website and check them out. They come in a variety of colors. I've got 2 of them that are black, and I've got this bright orange one, and they're super cool. So that's kind of the bigger case is what's going to go as checked luggage with me to Oregon. It'll have room for 2 Sony bodies and all of my Tamron lenses and my Samyang lens, plus batteries for those cameras. And it fits in the overhead because I've traveled with it. I traveled with it last year to out west for $69. You can't beat it, really.
What are you drinking? Victory. What the hell is that? Oh, a sour?
A sour monkey.
I've never had any of those.
It's like
sour beer just don't sound good to me. Does it taste good?
Oh God, yeah.
What does it taste like? Is it hoppy? Super hoppy?
No, that's why I like it, because I'm not an IPA person. So
yeah, I don't.
And this is almost 10% alcohol by volume, so they're good.
Does it taste like beer?
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
I don't like my beer tasting like fruit.
Yeah, it's hard to explain the flavor of this one. I mean, their description is citrus laden tang, ending with a delectable experience. I don't know. It's like
that's later after the show,
right? It's good for hot weather. I think it's very, I don't know, refreshing. You guess you could say. Been served a sour beer once or 5 times in my life.
Right.
Once or 5 times at a meal.
yeah, in the same night. Yeah.
John Thomas says beer
porn for sure.
Yeah. And I'm not a beer guy at all. I'm just not. I'm not your typical guy. I could give a crap less about sports. I'm not a big beer drinker. I don't chew tobacco. I don't have a mullet. No, just
I'll turn sideways a little bit. I don't know.
It's just there we go. Nothing. There we go. Yeah, but anyway, so do you want to do an image share, Jerry? You want to talk about anything new that you've seen or done or plan to do?
I got my eyes set on a new lens. That Tamron. What is it? The 150 to 500.
Yes.
I'm buying that.
Are you?
Yeah. I'm going to buy that.
I've kind of considered that lens too. It's really not that expensive for what it is.
No, for sure. It's $1,400. Mike bought it. I need to get with Mike and shoot that thing, man.
Take care. Have fun at the club. Tell everybody to watch us.
See ya. Yeah, I think that's what when I said I'm saving my money. That's my next purchase. If my body don't die first. I've been having issues with that thing, but
right. As Bob says, he carries everything but his Sigma 1.4 lenses and his Pelican. It's designed to fit in the overhead. Yep. Good setup.
Yeah, those things are
Excuse me. Computer goes in the camera bag along with batteries and a charger. That's kind of how I travel. You know, the hard case goes in the overhead, and I have a backpack that will have it'll have my laptop, a couple of various chargers, you know, and probably a change of clothes. And that's about it. Yeah.
And that's what sits between your feet.
Yeah, it should be able to tuck right up underneath the seat in front of me. Yep, so
that's what I do. Yeah, I usually put my camera there.
Yep. So,
and I throw my clothes in the overhead.
Yep, that's how it rolls. So,
all right, let me hear. I got a couple pictures here. I think.
Let's do it.
We good?
We are good.
All right. So typically, you know, I don't shoot into the sun, but I was walking out here and I saw the light hitting off the side of the lighthouse, and I was like, yo, I gotta shoot this. This looks pretty nice. So this was Charlevoix, Michigan. This is shot with the Sony A7R2 and the 70-200 f4, and I believe this is shot at 200 millimeters. I just thought it looked really nice. You know, I mean, it kind of told the story of the evening.
For sure, definitely.
And there's not really much done to this in post. It's pretty much just, I mean, I might have threw a fade on it, just a small fade. But other than that, yeah, there's not much done to this. It's pretty much what it looked like. And then I got a one more. Same night. And then again, I almost didn't take the shot because I don't like shooting an orange ball. But I thought this looked pretty cool. I guess it's probably just the shape of the lighthouse and the reflection in the water. And so I snapped a few that night, and I thought they turned out pretty good.
Yeah, it was a fun night.
You were there, weren't you?
Yeah, it was. It was another late night. What is it with hanging out with you? And I end up freaking.
So here's the thing. Dude. Here's the thing. If you hang out with me, one of two things are gonna happen. One of three things. You're either gonna stay out real late and get your shoes dirty, or you're gonna get drunk and do stuff you're probably not supposed to do. That seems to be what happens when people hang out with me.
Okay. So far, it's been all just getting shoes dirty.
We left my house at noon that day, didn't we? We got home at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
I got home at 4. You still had 2 hours to go, or did you go to Shelly's?
I went to Shelly's.
Did you?
And died like.
Oh, I bet
that was a long.
It was fun though. We covered a lot of ground, man.
Yeah, we did. So Bob says, talking about the Pelican cases or the hard cases, a couple of padlocks and security cable that he runs through the seats or something. The cable goes and gets locked to the case. They can steal if they need tools. Are you talking, Bob, about like so when we're traveling in Oregon? Because I know I'm not gonna make this political, but it seems like when you get on that side of the country, there's a lot of choices made as far as how laws are concerned on whether they punish people for things like stealing your camera gear. So they don't do it over there. They don't punish.
No, that's just legal, man. Right,
so people steal everything. Crack. So you're talking about like in the car, because I think that's a great idea, is that if we're getting out of the car to like go in and eat somewhere or something like that, I could just steal cable, secure it, you know, so that they couldn't get into it. I like that idea. I think I'm actually going to look into that. Yeah. Thank you for that, Bob. Just
put it in the trunk What are you renting? An SUV?
I have no idea what Mark rented. I really don't know. So I guess I'm gonna have to ask him. If it's got a trunk, then I'm cool with just throwing it in the trunk. But if it's any sort of a hatch type vehicle, then yeah, I don't know.
Fuck, where you guys going, Chaz?
Dude, we're going to the West Coast, man. I'm telling you, anything east of like Kansas City, I don't know, man. It just, I don't know. Texas isn't bad. I don't know. Anyways, I'm not doing this. I'm gonna totally just stay off of that. All right, let's see. So here we go.
Here's some photos, quick.
All right. Well, what do you know, Jerry? Well, what do you know? Okay, so this is a little bit different perspective on that evening too.
No, it's the same.
Closer. Damn near is. I think Jerry was probably.
I was to the left a little more.
Yeah, he was further to the right in the scene, actually, behind me to the right, and back probably a little bit further. I was zoomed in. This is with the A7 III and Tamron's 75 to 180 is what I'm using for this one. And unlike Jerry, I love shooting into the sun. I don't mind all the silhouetted people. It's kind of fun, and I usually don't shoot people. I don't know. I'm getting better about it though. I know it helps make the story, it tells the story of what's going on there, and this is typical West Coast Michigan in the summer, everybody's there to see the sunset, which it's amazing we even had any kind of a sunset. So I was pretty stoked on that. And it was a fun night. And Jerry said that, we got back to his place at like 3:30 or 4. But about 1:00 in the morning, we were in Frankfort, Michigan, trying to see if there's any possibility of shooting the Milky Way. But if you look just above my head to the right there, that's not the sun. That is a bright ass moon. And you are not shooting Milky Way on a clear night with a darn near full moon. So we just had fun just going out there and shooting the lighthouse. We had seen some other photos where, you kind of get these like beams of light radiating from all the different angles on the lighthouse. And we just didn't have the right conditions for it that night. There wasn't enough atmosphere. And I don't think that moon helped at all either. But this is fun, man. This is a little bit longer exposure, I think, but I'm at like ISO 6400 for, I think, like 6 or 7 seconds. Again, one of the beautiful things about shooting with those Sonys is, man, you can really crank the ISO up, and not just crank it up, but crank it up and then run it for longer exposures and still end up with a really clean image. Kind of dig that. So that was that night. And then the following week, in the middle of the week, I just took a little vacation with Shelly and went up to Traverse City just prior to the Cherry Festival up there. And it was cool to go on a trip and not feel like I had to go shoot, not feel like I had to go run around. I literally relaxed the whole time. But Shelly had taken me to this place called the Grand Traverse Commons. It used to be a big old psychiatric facility that has now been converted to stores, like high-end stores at that. It's a pretty neat place. But out behind it, there is this thing called the hippie tree. And we were going out to try to find the hippie tree, which is some weird thing that you would hear about, like when you're randonauting. It's like some vortex to hell or something like that. Something weird and crazy like that. But on the walk back there, we kind of stumbled across this, I don't know, it looks like a pillbox, like a military installation. It's this round building, flat roof, but it's totally all graffitied up. So, and this is really about the only photo I think I took that whole trip we were up there, was just a handful of photos of this building. And this is shot with the Sony A7R III and the Tamron, or not the Tamron, sorry, the Samyang 14mm f2.8. Just fun. I'm a sucker for graffiti, and then to find graffiti out in the woods is always kind of a blast. The next one was one of those nights where I decided that I was going to go out at the very last minute, and
I like that place,
and drove out to this barn that I shot one time before. I shot it in the spring before everything was all greened up. And it was one of those nights where we had the possibility of stormy weather. And all that weather though stayed way far away from me, but it was off in the distance. So to get this shot, this is actually a composite. Surprise, surprise. So to get the clouds like that, that's shot with the Tamron 75 to 180 at 180 millimeters. And then the shot that's done for the building itself is a series of bracketed photos. And those were done with the 28 to 75 Tamron and then composited together in post. And these are all shot with the Sony A7 R3 as well. So big megapixel files there. This was a fun photo to photo blend. It's basically like focus stacking in a way, but also with an exposure bracketed shot as well. It's kind of a cool practice for me in post. And I think this might be my last photo, but I've been doing a lot of time lapses lately and kind of in preparation for the presentation that I'm going to be giving at the camera shop in a couple of weeks up in Muskegon. I wanted to put together some sort of video montage that will be part of the presentation, and so there was this storm system that rolled through not too far from my house, probably about, 15 miles from home, something like that. And as I saw it coming on the radar, I, again, packed up all my gear, packed up 2 cameras, 2 tripods, an assortment of lenses, and knew that when I got out there, I was going to be running a time lapse on one camera and then still photos on the other. So this is a frame from the time lapse. And this time lapse, I was running it with the Sony A7 III, and I was just doing the handheld stills with the A7 R3. And this is shot with Tamron's 28 to 75 as well. That's what I was using for the time lapse. I ended up running, I think, 600 and some odd frames for that time lapse, but I did get 2 lightning strikes out of that series of images. I'm learning really quickly that I wish I had some sort of AI that could analyze all my frames and pick out which ones had lightning, because sifting through like 600, 700 frames looking for the 2 that have lightning in them sucks. It's a lot of work. So, but I was still pretty pumped that I'm at least starting to capture some lightning bolts in some of the images there. And then all the post work, of course, was done just in Lightroom on this, because we know they don't come out of the camera looking quite like that. Oh, last photo. So this was shot 2 days ago. Yeah, I think it was 2 days ago. Again, one of those things where, again, on and off, we've been having the possibility of weather around here. It just hasn't been fully materializing, unfortunately. And I wasn't going to go out. And I just happened to look out the window. I was sitting at the computer, and I don't even remember what I was working. I think I was working on my presentation, actually. And I looked up, and if I look out the window at where I'm sitting from my computer, I've been looking west, and I could see color in the sky. And I thought, oh, shit. Okay, so I just jumped up. I grabbed 1 camera, 1 lens, and took off out the door and raced off into the countryside. And this is a barn that's, again, not too far from my house, but this is a bracketed shot, not using filters for this, again, because here's that example where if I would have used a reverse graduated, I would have had a really dark band across the barn. So this is the Tamron 28 to 75 on the Sony A7 R3. It's a handheld, HDR exposure bracketed shot. So it's 3 frames, 3 exposure values each. And I'm at like f5.6, I think, on this, if I'm not mistaken. So that's that. And that's just all, again, just post-processed with the HDR is done in Lightroom. That's just kind of how I do them now. And that's that, folks. I'm having a lot of fun with the Sony A7 R3. I'm starting to understand cropping more. I never was somebody who cropped.
Right.
Dwayne's grounded from Facebook. It happens. It hasn't happened to me yet.
What'd you say, Dwayne?
Right? Were you talking about the Chaz and
Mike got banned permanently? Oh, I told you that.
Yeah. Yes, actually, Bob. Okay, that was another thing I wanted to talk about too. So, well, I didn't want to talk about Aurora HDR, but I do have Aurora HDR, and honestly, I haven't used it in quite a while. Not because it's not good. It's just, it's another piece of software I would be going outside of Lightroom for. You know what I mean? So I really haven't, I haven't delved into it too much. But the reason, well, thank you for mentioning Aurora, because it reminded me that my Vanguard contact reached out to me and said that Luminar was offering a handful of us Vanguard ambassadors a license for, what is it called? Oh my gosh, Luminar AI. It's their, which is the craziest software ever. So I think I'll be talking about that on the next show. I did use it today for the first time. I just downloaded it today, installed it, activated my license key for it, and all of that. I'll tell you what, it's shit. Should I do a screen share and just show you what it's like?
That's gonna ruin photography, dude.
It's gonna make
everybody a pro.
Oh, yeah. I'm telling you, it's ridiculous.
Me and Ramon talked about this last year.
Oh, dude, it's
gonna be good for those who don't want to take the time to learn.
Yeah, it is.
But for those who've already took the time and learned,
yeah,
it's gonna suck because everybody just caught up to you and they don't have to know anything.
Yeah, it's.
And I've always said that about mirrorless cameras too. Like,
yeah,
you get some of these newer photographers that are coming into mirrorless and never shot film or DSLR.
I don't think it matters.
They ain't gonna know how to take a picture.
Why do you need to?
I'm not saying you have to, but I mean, it would be nice if you call yourself a photographer to learn to know how to take pictures.
Nah, I don't think so. Why does it matter? If you can get the finished product, then why does it
shoot with your cell phone?
A lot of people do. Shit, you shoot with your cell phone more than anybody I've ever met.
But I know how to use every type of camera, so.
But it doesn't matter that you know how to use the camera because you're using a cell phone. And the phone's doing it all for you.
Right, but I can grab any camera and produce the same thing pretty much.
But if you don't have to put in the work, it's like the people who say you need to learn manual to be a photographer. No, you don't. Why would you put yourself through all the extra work?
I don't know if I would ever say that, but learning manual definitely lets you create, I don't want to say better or more images, but it gives you more options.
Sure, it definitely does. It does, for sure. But at the same time, if you don't need it or have to have it, then why do you need it if you don't need it? You know what I mean? Just like, that's the argument for the people that pick up a mirrorless camera that never shot a DSLR or film. I mean, look, I never shot film until a few years ago. I think I turned out pretty good as a photographer. And I spent the majority of my time shooting mirrorless. I mean, I had like 2 or 3 Olympus DSLRs, and I only had those for 3 years, maybe 3 or 4 years, and then I just jumped.
But you shot a DSLR before. I mean, you can. For somebody that's never shot one, they're not going to be able to. They won't be able to create an image. So if we go somewhere if only DSLRs, guess what? They're not taking any pictures. Or they're going to spend their entire time asking you how the fuck to use the camera.
But why would they be in a position where they don't have their mirrorless camera? You know what I'm saying?
You never know. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Like if they go to an amusement park that has just DSLRs,
I'm just saying people rely too much on technology.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? We all do, man. We all do.
Shit.
You don't?
Hell fuck no, I don't.
I've seen you pull out your GPS.
Right.
Much as, okay. I didn't see you pull out a paper map.
I've used paper maps.
Well, shit, so have I, but I don't now.
And I'm talking cameras.
Yeah. I'm just saying there's, I know how to hunt, but I go to Meijer and I buy my meat. I know how to fish, but I'll get it from a store. I mean, just because, yeah, I don't have to know
just
those
because you know
things.
how to hunt don't mean you're gonna kill a deer either.
I have, but it doesn't. That's not. I don't rely on it. You know what I mean? So if there's a technology,
and what I'm saying is a lot of photographers now rely on technology to capture their images.
Yeah. Okay. So here, I think that if somebody got into photography today, and well, chances are they're going to end up with a mirrorless camera. I mean,
right.
The odds are probably skewed a little more in favor of that happening, maybe. Right. So let's say they did. Let's say they got into a mirrorless camera, and that's all they shot with for like 2 years. Now, there are two kinds of people when it comes to that. There's the kind of person who is never going to pay attention to any of the settings or anything that's going on. They're just going to turn dials, exposure looks good, boom, they're going to take the picture. But there are the other people that are going to do the same thing. They're going to turn those dials, exposure looks good, they're going to take the picture, but then they're going to see that there's motion blur. And then they're going to learn, okay, there was motion blur because the shutter speed wasn't right. So then they're going to...
I agree with that.
So I think...
And I'm talking about the ones that aren't paying attention.
For sure. And those are the same people that...
Them are the same people that's going to use that fucking
Auto
Aurora
mode.
AI.
For sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think photography is like golf. Okay. I know people who've been golfing for 20 years that are just as shitty of a golfer today as they were 20 years ago. And there are photographers that are going to be the same way. Not that I'm knocking anybody's craft, but I'm just saying...
I know a few of them.
But I'm just going to say their knowledge or their skill set never develops further than this certain point. And yeah, There's always going to be those people. And you know what? Download Aurora AI or Luminar AI.
Right. Because... But what I'm saying is that will put people... It'll make people's work a lot better compared to somebody who's took the time to learn the craft.
I don't disagree at all. I 100% agree.
I just call it lazy photography is what I call it.
For sure. Yeah. There is. And I think that there's going to be cases where that makes a big difference and cases where it doesn't. My hope is that everybody wants to take the time to figure out why their camera's doing what it's doing, why your image looks the way it does. When it looks good, what made it look good? Or if it looks bad, why does it look bad?
They're like, I don't know. The software made it look good. It did it on its own. I just pushed one button. I'll throw their fucking cameras off the pier.
Oh my God. Right here. Let me do this. Let me just do this real quick. All right. So here's Luminar AI. So this is, this is a shot. This is a long exposure. So this was done in the camera. The long exposure was, with a 10 stop Nisi filter. So let me, I'm actually just looking at the screen share, trying to click on stuff. It doesn't work that way, Jamie. So here, now I'm in here. So I really have only taken just a couple of seconds with it. So basically I can go in and just go here. It says scenery and it says fast scenery fixes. So if I click on that, I click on it, it says more volume. What's this do? It completely put a whole new sky up in here. It's running it. There we go. Now it's done processing and it's nice and crisp. It looks legit. It looks like
the sky. Good, yeah.
It looks like stupidly good. And it changed the contrast and everything too. So there's a slider down here on the bottom right that you can adjust the effect of it, I guess. We turn it all the way down. That's the original. Look at the grass and look at the color of the barn and the texture on the barn. We turn it all the way up. Yeah, this is gonna
basically with that. And now when I was talking about this, I wasn't referring to landscape. Me and Ramon was discussing this as far as portrait work.
Portrait? Okay. So let me see. Yeah. Let me add a picture here.
Because this is kind of like just throwing a preset on an image right here.
Well, yeah, for sure. So let me see here. I didn't do a lot of shooting this year, so where's the selfie room? What was the date that I went to the selfie room? Here we go, right here. So let me pick a portrait here. pick this. We'll pick this one right here. So we'll open up this portrait. I've never messed with this with portraits. I'm really curious to see what this is going to do. And it looks soft and blurry because it's still like, there we go, processing it or whatever. So let's see. This says close-up quick portrait solutions. Let's click on that. So we've got brush up. We'll see what this does. Let me turn the effect all the way down. So I can see it definitely softened the skin. It took some of the shininess off the forehead.
No, I think it just increased the exposure. So the forehead looks a little less shiny because they bumped everything up.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's obviously probably a way to resolve that. I'm not a portrait shooter, so I don't know if there's a different way to fix shininess or not, but it worked pretty good.
Yeah, that looks just like a bunch of presets.
Yeah, I mean, none of these are really that
right.
amazing for that. Let's see, easy portrait. Let's see what this is. So tack sharp, low key. Yeah, none of these are
that's
astounding. But I think for landscape photographers, though, that's kind of cool.
I mean, we've all replaced skies, and if it's never been that quick.
Yeah, I mean, it's got some cool looks to it. They're all going to be cookie cutter, though. If this doesn't offer you any variation, if it's going to be the same every single time, let's see. We can go to edit.
No, I think you can actually go in and do stuff to it.
Okay, so yeah,
like you should be able to whiten eyes and frequency separation and stuff like that.
Oh, it's not going to do frequency separation. That's going to be something that for sure.
Well, so, that's what the skin softening and shit is.
So let's see. Yeah. Skin defects removal. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'll tell you what. It's kind of it's pretty impressive, I think, for somebody that doesn't know what they're doing. For somebody that has no idea where to start. I mean, think about it, Jerry. So this
I don't want to hear it. I put my time in. I don't want to hear
it. It sucks.
You know how fucking long it took me to learn frequency separation?
It sucks. Yeah. I mean, thanks to Unmesh, I know how to do it too. And it's still a long process for me. But that's just how it's going. I mean, dude, look at
I know.
People are going to be able to bust out that mirrorless camera, not have to know how to use it. And then they're going to throw it into this, and they're going to be firing out bangers on Instagram, and they're going to start a TikTok stream that has like 50 million viewers, and everybody's going to think they're like a camera god. But you know what? More power to them. I look at it this way. I'm making for me, and I'm sharing what I make. And if other people like it, that's cool. I'm super stoked that other people will like what I make, but that's not why I do it. So if people use this and it makes them happy, go for it. I'm going to mess around in this for sure. I mean, I told them I would for giving me a copy of it, but I'll play with it, especially for portraits, dude. That's not my jam. That's you. You're good at that. I'm not good at it. So I'll jump in there.
You know why I'm good at it? Because I spent hours and hours learning that shit.
For sure. And I have no interest in spending hours learning how to edit people. Non-technical, afraid of Photoshop. Yeah. Heck yeah. I agree. I totally am not going to knock anybody for using that. I mean, at the end of the day, you want a good photo, and if you don't know how to get there either in the camera or in software.
That's why you learn how to take a good photo, and then you learn how to edit a good photo.
Yes. Eventually you will get there.
No, you'll never get there using that. You won't. You won't, because it's too easy not to.
Right. Or it doesn't matter. It doesn't
Oh
matter.
yeah. Oh, for sure. For
For
And
some
you know how
people, at the
many?
end of the day, if they get a good
Yep.
looking photo, that's all that matters.
Yep.
You know,
I know people that pay other people to edit their photos for them.
I know professional photographers that most of the people watching this would know who they are.
Oh yeah, there's a ton of them that do it.
That go into a studio and they say, this is the look we're going to go for. An assistant sets the lights up. Sometimes, Annie Leibovitz, they'll set her camera up and she'll go in and just push the shutter button.
Right. Yeah.
But there are people that'll do that. They'll go in, everything is set up. They're just working with the person. They're
they're a coach.
They're a coach. And then they hit the button and then they give the files to somebody else that does all the editing.
Yep.
There's different approaches to it all. And I'm like you. I like to learn how to do all these things. I like editing. I love editing. I like learning a new technique. It's fun. But it's different strokes, man. Different strokes.
Because I look at it as if someone else is doing it, it's not yours.
Oh, yeah. I get the whole, if you push the shutter button, you're the photographer. Yeah, but I mean, you might not be the person who created the end result, and that's what everybody sees is the end result. So for people that have an editor, I feel weird about that one. I feel really weird.
I gotta from start to finish.
Yeah, and Bob says that he's got an older version of Luminar, and he doesn't use it much because he can do most of his edits quickly in Lightroom, and that's how I am. That's why I told you I didn't use Aurora HDR, because I'll just merge the HDR in Lightroom. And honestly, most of the time, if I'm going into Photoshop, if I'm even leaving Lightroom, it's usually to Photoshop, and that's going to be to start stacking images if I'm doing focus stacking. And that's about it. But I am learning more of like exposure blending. So instead of shooting like 3 bracketed shots and just merging to HDR, I'm learning and developing my process for stacking all 3 images and masking in like the properly exposed sky and masking in my foreground instead of just letting software say this is the average of all of that.
Right.
You get a much better, I think. Look.
Do you do that with three images, or do you ever do it with one and just change the exposures yourself? And then,
if it's funny, you go back and look at my YouTube channel. I think I've got a video from like 2009 where it's when I first started shooting RAW, and it's when Trey Ratcliffe was like the jam, with HDR. Right. I made a video where I took a RAW file and bumped it up +3, bumped it down -3, saved each one as a separate TIFF file, and then merged those. Yeah. It was an interesting experiment. Not quite the same.
Once you start blending, and that's why I asked when you talk about blending, because you can adjust your brush capacity and so it's not so hardcore on one end or the other.
Yep. I'm watching this giant mosquito fly around above my monitor. I'm terrified it's going to get me. The mosquitoes are so bad in Michigan right now. Oh my God, I caught it and it got away. It's time to go. That's the end of the show. This thing's going to kill me. Oh my God.
What happened to your Michigan light? You still got it back there?
Oh yeah. Can I remove you from the stream? There. Ta-da. There you go. You just can't see it because it crops in the...
Right. Because you got us zoomed in.
Zoomed in? Oh, that's right. I guess I could zoom us out.
There you go.
There we are. All right, folks. I think we're going to roll. We've been doing this for about an hour. Man, I you know what? In 2 weeks...
I'll be in
Oregon, and you'll be somewhere else too.
Let me check my calendar real quick. I think I am out on the 27th. Yeah, I might be back. When are you leaving?
Or wait,
the 26th to the 30th?
No, wait, no. I'll be here. Well, I'll be here for the next show. I'm gone August 2nd is the day I fly out. That Monday.
Yes, yeah, you'll be good then.
Yeah, we're good. Don't worry, folks. We'll be here. All right. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks. I appreciate everybody coming on and interacting. And yeah, the mosquitoes are bad. They're gross.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. I haven't seen mosquitoes.
It's because you live near the big old lake. They don't even go over there. Come down here. Donate blood to my mosquitoes. All right. You guys take care. Thanks for watching. And don't forget, if you're not subscribing on YouTube, please do it. I'd like to get our subscriber count up there a little bit and get our numbers up there a little bit too. And don't forget to tell all your friends and family and the people at the grocery store and everybody about Mirrorless Minutes. We'll see you guys in a couple of weeks.